Alright. What's up, everybody, and welcome back. We've got Shopify Rebellion's ByuN in the top right side of the map, and in the bottom left side, we've got Classic from Twisted Minds. Shopify Rebellion against Twisted Minds, the KSL 56 weekly finals. These two have been playing a lot lately, haven't they? I apologize for those who are like, didn't we already watch this game? No, they've played like 4 tournaments in the last 2 weeks against each other. They're both grinding the online circuit. They're both trying to get as much tournament practice in as possible. And this is, of course, Classic playing PvT on Crimson Court, which is, it's going to be interesting to see how he approaches this one. I really feel like the last series I cast between these two, ByuN spammed a lot of Cyclone openings, a lot of double gas, double Cyclone, sometimes into 3cc, sometimes into just heavy Cyclone pressure. I'd say Classic, he has some good moments versus ByuN in the last series we cast. I think there were 1 or 2 things that went terribly wrong for him in one of those games. There was a pylon meant to block a Reaper, wasn't there? Didn't quite work out, and things kind of fell apart in that opening. But yeah, I think in general, it's kind of hard if ByuN's doing this Cyclone spam to catch him off with aggression. It's just about, okay, let's just defend really solid. Those Cyclones do not scale well, but let's not leave any holes for ByuN to take advantage of in our build order. And this is second gas going down after Cybercore into Nexus, into Pylon. Yeah, pretty typical build order, guys. Nothing too crazy here. Of course, this Pylon allows you to wall off on the natural. Now, one big thing that I've been hating with Classic, but a bunch of other players, guys, is putting Robos, like, out here, where, like, a drop comes in and just kills it, or over here. I actually moved away from this Pylon positioning in a lot of my games. Even though it does block the Reaper from jumping in, I always felt that you then end up building your tech in this area, where I felt like drops coming in from the main just always had a very easy target to snipe. Whereas, and I know this from the Terran perspective, because I played a lot of TvP. I love this matchup from both sides. I always felt as a Terran, if I drop and there's just a few gateways and pylons to target, no tech structures, the probes run away, I'm like, okay, I kill 2 pylons with a drop and run away. Maybe I depower some stuff. Maybe I kill a gateway. Maybe I get a probe or 2, but then I go too deep and I lose my drop. But anytime someone, you know, exposes some important tech there, it makes me feel really good. Nice catch for Classic with the Adept. Now, the Twilight Council, you can see he tucked it as far back as possible, so it is the most protected of these structures. And since he probably will be going Robo in the natural, I think that's probably A-okay. But, yeah, I've been thinking more and more about how when things go wrong in PvT, the Robo going down is usually the reason it spirals, right? If the Brotus is a little out of position, that's usually the issue. Now, this is a good shade back. He just clicks the SCV. Yeah, great move. Great move for Classic. Oh, ByuN's micro keeps it alive. Hello, ByuN. But you know it's a double Cyclone opening. He's obsessed with these double Cyclone openings, guys. I think it's way too predictable. And I think it's something Classic should be able to show us how to take advantage of. We'll see how good Classic is at doing that, though. I definitely think you can't just keep spamming these Cyclone openings. It's inflexible, and it's not that effective. But battery's a few seconds late. Not going to be ready for about 8 seconds. Got to just pull back with the Adepts in the store. Pull back. Wait for the battery. Okay. Battery's up. He's fine. Classic's going to take this third base on the left side. That's a good move. I like that. Just mining those minerals out. Now, interestingly, the Robo and second and third gateway built in the main doesn't want to get those focused down here. Actually, that's 4-gate, sorry. Oh, he's going 4-gate blink. Oh, wow. Classic is obsessed with 4-gate blink lately against ByuN. And, I mean, to be fair, it'll keep you safe if it's a Cyclone all-in. Then again, Cyclone all-ins are not good at all, so... Oh, hold that thought. I'm like, famous last words, Pig. The Adept goes down for free. Stalkers are in trouble. They don't have battery range. Classic! Oh no, Classic. You gotta respect these boys, mate. Okay. He's gonna have to battery overcharge if he wants to survive that. Yeah. Because they can actually get through regular battery healing with 4 Cyclones locked onto one target. Third base will go down on the third base in the midst of this. Classic, when he goes 4-gate blink, he doesn't hit a sharp 4-gate blink. He hits a defensive 4-gate blink. That's my main issue with it. I know it's hard to get away with the old parting build these days with the modern Terran pressure openings off double gas. But there is something that thinks about the old days, guys. 4 minutes 50, 10 Stalkers blinking into the main base. If there's a way for someone to resurrect that old parting 4-gate blink, I feel like free wins are waiting to be had. I mean, this does not defend 4-gate blink. The first tank's not even started. It's 505. It's just started now. The Cyclones are all right? They add some damage. There's a few Marines, but definitely there are chances to be worked here. But with only 8 Stalkers at 515, it's a very low Stalker count. He's going to blink forward. The Mad Dog Classic. Oh, this is really bad. Uh-oh. Classic. Yeah, that's not good at all, man. Especially with Stim. He has to unload the Stalkers to try and keep that Prism alive. And that is an absolute disaster. Blinking into Cyclones. I said there's room to be worked. I meant if he blinks in there or just picks off the bunker, but blinking on the Cyclones is crazy. Especially with a full bunker and plenty more Marines backing up. No. Classic, get out of here. Get out of here. Do not go for this. Oh, okay. I mean, he grabs an SC. Pick up. Get out. Okay. He does at least get out with the Prism, saves all those Stalkers, but they are so heavily damaged, and Classic has barely probed his third base. Just his first few probes heading over now. So there's already going to be an 8 Marine drop going across the map with Stim. If that gets into his main, that's an issue. Classic will see it leave the base. Oh, he can blink across. Blink across the gap. Blink across the gap right now. You can do this, Classic. You got to blink across. Classic, what? He wasn't watching. He didn't notice. Oh, he wasn't watching. The Marines come out. They go for the Prism. But he actually gets the damage here. Nicely done. Classic has damage. It's just a shame because I don't think he realizes that drop just moved out. If he does, quickly recalls home and deals with it, it's going to be a very nice move, but you can tell that he just doesn't seem to realize. Luckily, second observer here, a bit of insurance for Classic. If he kills this drop, he can definitely get back in this game. He has a third base right now. That medevac is there, unloading in the corner. Now, this is good because ByuN doesn't realize he's being spotted. Problem, not enough Stalkers to completely shut it down just yet. They're heavily damaged. Oh, he's going to blink forward. Wow, that's a brave move. Oh, my. Oh, gosh. Oh, my lorsh. Oh, jeez. Well, you know when you're like, I'm not going to let you leave? So you like try to tackle your opponent, but then you realize he was holding a knife and you tackled his knife. That's what Classic just did. Flashback to last night. Yeah, crazy guy started trying to fight a dude on the train last night. Thought he was going to pull a knife out at one point. Holy crap, man. Paranoia is bad. Anyway, sorry. Schizophrenia and drugs are not a good combination. Case in point, guys. General rule we learnt. Don't sit in the direct line of eye contact with the crazy guy who's lying down in the middle of the train. He will try to fight you. SCV pool coming in. Here we go. Speaking of crazy people, there's not that much bio here. Charge is done. I think you just got to buy time as Classic. Send the Zealots around for the flank. Don't fight the army. Don't fight the army. Go for the flank. He's going to go for... Oh, no. He misclicked them. He misclicked them in the wrong direction. Classic's macro's been really good this game, guys. But by golly, have his engagements been a hot mess. They have not been going his way at all. ByuN getting in range with these tanks. There's still a battery in reserve. Battery overcharge has not been popped yet. Bide your time. Send those Zealots around. He's only got 4 Zealots, so he doesn't feel like he's got enough to intercept the rally. He's going to go with the Zealots on top right now. The Immortal trying to take out the bunker. The Zealots from the right side. Dude, is he actually going to clean this up? I can't believe it. He is. Classic is actually going to hold this push. I mean, that was a bit of a half-cocked push because there just weren't that many Marines with it. But dude, what an incredible hold for Classic. And ByuN finds himself now with equal army supply, but down 27 workers. What a game, dude. What an absolutely ridiculous game this is. I can't believe Classic fought back. I felt like the fights were so garbage for him. But he did do some nice harass on the workers with the Stalkers. And oh, he's over-chasing. No, Classic, don't throw this game. He just lost his Immortal. He's kiting into Zealots. He's just trickling in. Okay, Classic needs to gather his forces together. There's no reason for him to chase that army. As his army gets bigger, it's going to get way better for him, especially once his first Colossus and +1 kicks in. But he's not there just yet. He needs to defend his left base. There's no battery on that side. He needs another Zealot warp in. Stalker count's getting a little bit better. He does charge forward. Pull back. I think you can't keep chasing like this. Classic's been chasing a bit too far. He does have a decent numbers advantage, though. He's going to blink forward and focus the Marauders. That's a really good micro there for Classic. Gets both Marauders down. Only 2 more Marauders are left. The tank has to siege in the middle of the map, and that buys him the time he needs because his first Colossus is out. +1 is finished, and he's looking really, really, really good. Observers going out into the middle. We've got 3 racks hanging out right now. Extra gas coming down there. 4th Nexus in the midst of it. And ByuN right now, this is the sort of game where I count him out completely. And then he makes an insane, disgusting comeback with round 2 of the SCV pool. He needs to pull these SCVs onto the natural guys. He's got enough workers to mostly mine efficiently here. But we're definitely going to see another boy pool. The funny thing is it's a tank lib push and there's Colossus. So the SCVs won't really help. But he might as well since he is massively oversaturated. Even if just for the repair. Disruptor zoning. He's got great observer vision. The observer vision's huge. Oh, ByuN, watch out. Oh, ByuN, watch out. The tank's going to block him from retreating. Oh, my gosh. Marauder, a few Marines, and the tank gets a hit as well. Double lib comes forward. Stalkers get a few hits. Already baiting a stim out of ByuN. ByuN is stuck right now in the middle of this map. No man's land. The Zealots are just going to YOLO it. That's the right call. Classic has the numbers now. Gets rid of the siege units so quickly before they can do anything. And ByuN has to tap out. What a ridiculous game that was, guys. I could go back a little bit and just tally up the units lost. It felt like Classic was in a pretty bad spot, right? But I guess a 4 Cyclone opening off 2 Command Center, it slows down your stim and everything else so much. But it's not like your build order's great here as ByuN, right? Like, you've invested in 4 Cyclones. Did they get value? Yes. Was it super efficient? Yes. Was this pretty trash for Classic? Absolutely. But, you know, like, this Blink-In, not great. It's only damage. Doesn't lose any Stalkers, okay? That's you know, it is what it is. This next drop, or Blink-In, I should say, kills 2 SCVs, kills 2 Marines, makes it 4 or 5 SCVs, and a 5th, yeah, it's another Marine. Like, that was actually really efficient, right? That was really good. ByuN probably should have pulled his SCVs away. This Marine drop here, pretty bad trade, not gonna lie, right? Because you lose 1, 2, 3, 4 Stalkers. Okay, it was 4 Stalkers and a Prism, which is obviously not a good trade for the Protoss player. But you have a 3rd up, you've got charge up, you've managed to macro pretty well, and the 4 Cyclones just slows down the follow-up push so very much. You know what's interesting? It is a double reactor push. Stim, shields, and now concussive, all off a single tech lab barracks. And there's just not that much bio, interestingly. 14 Marines, 3 Marauders. So Zealots are very effective against this. But yeah, kind of surprising that ByuN wasn't able to get more done. But generally speaking, the SCV pool doesn't really serve a tank push nearly as well as it does when you've got like an overwhelming amount of Marine Marauder. Because SCVs are good for like pushing the momentum, the tempo, shoving in. And the threat of the force fields, not to mention the actual force fields, plus the Zealot flank threatening, it just bought a lot of time. The tanks themselves are also very slow. And Classic with this very far back shield battery really helped him out. So really nicely done by Classic to hold on after a few very sloppy trades. He had good macro. And the Cyclones, as well as they traded, slowed down ByuN's push enough that it's only 8 minutes when the fight finally happens. And I guess he just needed to force that fight a bit earlier and maybe not be so tank heavy. Maybe a bit more bio-mine focused would have actually been a bit better because he could have been more mobile. Nice game 1 for Classic. All right, well, I actually thought that game was going pretty well, but not the biggest fan of the Cyclone opening. And I think you guys saw why there. Now, don't get me wrong. ByuN probably made a few other mistakes in that game as well. But even with all that value, building 4 Cyclones that early, it's very expensive, slows down the rest of your build. And we could see the Marine count just wasn't quite up to snuff because the barracks wasn't on the reactor for that entire early stage. It went off to the tech lab. And he tried to make up for it with 2 more barracks with other reactors on them, kind of Gumiho style, but it just didn't have enough time to work to get that Marine count up to clear those Zealots. Those Zealots just weren't going down very fast at all. So unfortunate for ByuN there. If you're more on a tank-heavy, fast push like that with a good handful of Marauders and tanks, very good for killing Sentries, Stalkers, Colossus, kind of long-range, low-impact units. But if it's more Zealot-heavy, you really need that Marine count up to deal with it, and he just didn't have that Marine count. So keep that in mind, guys. Sometimes people are like, oh, man, you know, I always die splash damage in this matchup, and you kind of go, oh, you're actually building way too many Marines. Like you're building like Zerg versus Terran. You're 90% Marines. You know, this is not the way to do it. You need more Marauders. But then sometimes people go the opposite direction. They go 4 Tech Labs, 1 Reactor, which, don't get me wrong, some pros do, and I actually quite like it myself occasionally to mix that in, where you're just, you know, mostly Marauders with just a few Marines sprinkled in. But against Zealot-heavy styles, you really want to have at least 2 reactors. And in general, most players just play 3 Tech Labs, 2 reactors on their first 5 barracks in this matchup as standard to kind of have a default decent mix. But if you are more Marauder heavy and they're very Zealot heavy, usually Widow Mines can help make up the difference. If you go heavy on the Widow Mines, with the Marauders, it makes up for the lack of Marine firepower because their splash damage just eradicates the Zealots. So kind of a few little early game interactions that a lot of people don't really know about. We don't speak about them as much as we should because, you know, sometimes you just take things for granted when you've been playing this game for a very long time. But there's so much little adjustments with your kind of unit comp and that sort of stuff, which does make a difference. Double Adept once again into Twilight. I think that's why ByuN's enjoying the Cyclone so much, to be fair. I think it's specifically because so many people are opening Double Adept, and it's Stalkers plus a battery that do really well versus the Cyclones, right? If you outnumber the Cyclones a little bit, Stalkers can also do very well, but it's always a very sensitive fight because the raw damage output of the Cyclone is quite a bit higher. But The move and shoot capabilities of the Stalkers are very, very nice, right? The ability to just volley down a Cyclone once you hit a critical mass is really good. Thank you, Senju. No, I'm flying out tonight, guys. Recording this one on Sunday morning. It's coming up on 9 a.m. Flying out at, I think, like 9 p.m. tonight, something like that. I don't know, later today sometime. It's much later in the day. Immediately gives self-panic as hasn't checked actual flight time for a while and is like, oh gosh. I should probably look that up and make sure I've got my passport. Opens desk drawer. Okay, passport's here. It's fine. We're good. We're good. My passport's here. It's all good. Oh. Oh, and my visa's being put in it. Oh, what a lovely waifu I have. She's making sure I don't forget to bring my visa. That's nice. Anyways, Reaper's coming into the main base here. They're going to get themselves a probe. Ooh. Uh-oh, Hellions are in the natural right now. That's a distraction. Run to the shield battery. Run to the shield battery, mate. Good pullback. Good pullback there. Reapers do leave the main. And looks like it's going to keep most of these workers alive. So far, so good for Classic, guys. Classic's doing pretty well. Only 3 probes? Yeah, not bad. Reapers go back in the main, though. But, oh, the Shade's ready for it. 2 Reapers for what? 1 more probe? That ain't worth it. Reaper tries to do a little dance around, ain't gonna get far. And that, at the end of the day, it was a bit of distraction, bit of mining time, but only 4 actual probes going down. So I think Classic's happy with that. You know your opponent's delayed their opening to do a double gas, but what we don't know about is the Cloaked Banshees that are just so common. They're rife at the moment, aren't they? They're all over the ladder. I feel like so many people have started playing Banshees in this matchup, and yeah, it's really been good for me because I go Robo before Twilight in my games, so I literally never get surprised by the Banshee. But if you don't open up like fast Phoenix or fast, Robo before Twilight, even though you get an Observer, you can see the way this times out. The Observer arrives at the other side as the Banshee flies in with Cloak and starts killing stuff. Luckily, Classic's a smart boy who's already prepared. He's also, oh gosh, huge mistake, letting the Adept in there for ByuN. But it doesn't matter, because the Stalkers are waiting for him to get deep. Oh, Blink wasn't quite ready. ByuN sees the Stalkers and is like, nope, pulls back. Good choice for ByuN to not throw his units away, because this is ridiculously well prepared. Yeah, flight panic is so real. The funny thing is, because I think it's because I've like literally slept walked my way into flights and like rocked up just before they depart so many times, that I'm like, oh, I know I've kind of built up my karma where I'm gonna like just start missing flights more and stuff like that if I keep doing it. So now I'm like, oh gosh, do I actually have everything? And because I always just forget to bring things because I used to travel so much more, and now I'm like, oh, don't miss my travel. I think the funny thing is, yeah, you kind of get inoculated to that, but then at a certain point you start getting paranoid again. Anyways, let's talk about this. Stalkers are going to damage this push. Marines and tanks coming out. Oh, hello. This seems like a fake push. Is this real? I think ByuN's just trying to scare Classic. I think if he commits, that might be a little bit too crazy of a move. 4 gates are up, charge as well, but look at that, he distracted him. That's all he needed to do. Yeah, it's a fake push on the front to distract. Allows the Banshees to slide in. Grabs himself 5 probes, and then slides out the back. Oh, he goes for more. ByuN, you greedy. Greedy guy. But the building placement there is kind of blocking the Stalkers. I never like blocking movement around my own base like that, especially behind the worker lines, because then it's quite hard to like chase after air harass and stuff. I understand sometimes you got to do it. You've only got limited pylons in the early stage, but Banshee's getting 8 probes. This army extricates itself. Feels like ByuN's taking what could have been a very bad start and turning it to his favor. I remember in 2018, a lot of us thought that Banshee was really a big gamble in this matchup, and if it didn't do big damage immediately, you were kind of screwed. And I remember Maru regularly would go Banshees against guys like Creator. I remember back on like Acid Plant and stuff like that. Maybe not Acid Plant, somewhere around that map pool. And he would get scouted, and the first Banshee would do nothing, and he'd just fly around with them and avoid getting them caught. And then like 6 minutes later sometimes, he'd distract his opponent enough that he could slide his 2 Banshees in, kill 23 workers, and get this crazy value. And we were like, man, you know, when that first Banshee doesn't do damage immediately, like you're way behind. And I remember it was Maru who showed us this like insane flexibility with Banshees, just being annoying, eventually finding the opening and landing the damage, as well as forcing big responses from the Protoss, and that kind of changed our perception a little bit. Now, the Zealot Stalker is on the front line. Robobay is really slow, guys, so this is a very quick 5-gate kind of Zealot Stalker mass, and it's a pretty dedicated push from ByuN. I mean, he's got a 3rd on location. I don't think he needs to push right now. He's got to be careful of the Zealot count. On the other hand, that's a lot of Marines. Combat Shields is about to finish. +1's already done. I don't know, man. This seems kind of just numbers-wise scary for a player with no Guardian Shield, no splash damage for the Protoss, no Colossus on the map right now. This is going to get really, really awkward. Oh my gosh. Tanks landing big shots on Zealots. Tanks landing big shots on the Zealots. The battery's going to go down up the front. The Stalkers are now there. We need to be flanking the right side of this position with those Zealots. He's got to get a few Zealots around that right side, but Classic a little bit too slow to set that up. The battery is depowered right now, and those Zealots on the right go down. Dude, this is really bad for Classic. Classic's just not quite ready for this push, and it feels like ByuN's pressure, not to mention those Banshees, adding that delayed damage after already forcing a response, finding the mark. Even if you clear this whole army, this is so much damage that's gone down, and you're not even going to clear it. You're kidding me. Not even going to get the last. Okay, he does get the last tank, but the Biocore is still alive. 4 Marauders, about 8 Marines, 3-4 Medivacs, and 2 Widow Mines there. And that's going to be that. The Zealots can't overwhelm this, I don't think. The Widow Mines aren't ready to fire, but as the reinforcements arrive, the +1 weapon's making a big difference on those infantry, and they will get right into the worker line. The probe pull, obviously not going to do anything on its own. Probes can tank a little bit. They absolutely cannot deal damage. And this is a devastating finish there for ByuN. 2 rather decisive games to start off this finals. And I don't mind that, guys. I like it when both players kind of shove each other and just kill each other. And to be fair, it's been ByuN shoving twice. Classic managed to defend the first time, fail the second. But funnily enough, I feel like the first map, probably a bit better for Terran, and ByuN loses it. The second map, a bigger, more defensive map, probably better for Protoss, and yet ByuN wins that map. I always like it when a series starts off a bit unpredictable like this. All right, well, that was an interesting game. We were just kind of discussing it in between the game and the Twitch chat and going, did ByuN's opening pressure work out that well? Felt like it was about even afterwards. But we're thinking that Classic kind of got a bit confused with being a bit late on his tech, and then the Banshees came in and he got even later on his tech, because we didn't see any Immortal Sentry. Colossus was kind of late. And in that scenario, against such an aggressive play from ByuN, it's fine to just play Zealot Stalker, but you need 8-gate Zealot Stalker to really overwhelm the push. He was only on 5-gate, so felt like Classic kind of got himself stuck in a position where he was kind of half committed to Zealots without enough to really overwhelm an army and use the strength of the Zealot, its mobility, and its ability to just kind of crush a push when the Terran's sieging up. Didn't have the Colossus with the splash damage, didn't have the Sentries and the Immortals yet either. The Immortals to kill tanks and Marauders, the Sentries for Guardian Shield. So Classic just kind of got caught with his pants down, and I think it really was that initial fake push out combined with the Banshees getting in to do damage that just made things difficult. Now, this is a bit of a semi-hidden barracks. I think ByuN was expecting a probe scout, but Classic mixes it up. I like that Classic doesn't probe scout sometimes and just says, no, I'm going to play a bit greedy. I think you should always mix these sorts of builds in just to get a bit more of an efficient opening. Second Reaper's coming out now for ByuN. Normally when I see a second Reaper, I'm expecting a Hellion, but for some reason, I know this is going to be a Cyclone. I don't know. I have no reason why. Just an instinctive feeling, guys, that it's going to be a Cyclone, not a Hellion. We'll find out in a moment. Command Center does go down. Has, of course, pulled a few workers off gas, has ByuN to optimize that. And I was, of course, completely wrong. It is going to be a Hellion. Does that mean we're going third Reaper? Oh, he's going to do 3 Reaper, 2 Hellion again. Wow. Very interesting, guys. I hope you guys enjoy the latest addition to my commentary. Wow. It's like I imagine I have this stray cat outside my house that makes weird noises at me because it wants food. And I like to imagine if Owen Wilson was somehow spliced with that, what noise it would make. And then I'm like, let's add that to the commentary. I figure that'll be a good auditory experience for all of you. What can I say, guys? You know, never rest until you have a perfect product. That's what they say. You know, really trying to make it as good as possible. I'll stop. Hellion does go down. That's a really good snipe there for Classic. Does try to shade it backwards. Adept trying to fall back. 1 Adept, 1 Stalker. Should be easily able to defend this. As long as the Adept stays back, let its shields regen. Yeah, good play. I think that's super worth. Losing an Adept for a Hellion. I'm always happy with that trade as a Protoss, even though it's inefficient. I don't know why it makes me so happy. I think just removing a Hellion from the board makes me feel good. Now you don't feel so good about it, though, do you? Because the Reaper Hellion's going to kill the other Adept. Uh-oh. This is the sort of scenario where having a gateway up would have been really good, but we're taking so much damage. Oh. The 3 Reaper, 2 Hellion, it's one of those plays where you'll shut it down one game, and then you'll kind of discount it as a threat in the next game. And the thing is, doing it 2 games in a row is so weird these days. I really think Classic is just so shocked that ByuN was doing this. He's like, you wouldn't do that twice in a row. I didn't really take much damage last time. It wasn't that successful, but ByuN does it, and this time he gets massive value. 9 probes, kills 2 Adepts. I mean, the unit's lost tab alone is in his favor. He's doing Cloaked Banshee. ByuN, Okay, so guys, this is absolutely ByuN knows that Classic is like a smart guy, but he's like, you number one didn't scout this game. Number two, you're going to assume I'm not going to do the same thing twice in a row because that would be stupid. And sometimes when your opponent starts making assumptions and getting a little bit flat-footed mentally in terms of their mental flexibility and their decision making, you can just do the same build twice in a row for the shock factor. And it can absolutely surprise them. It did really well last game. Let's see if he can do it again. Bunker's coming up. Nothing inside it, though. Oh, gosh. This is a bare bones defense right now. Stalkers going to take a tank shot and pull back. They don't take any damage, though. They can regenerate that, right? They can just regenerate their shields. Observer's on the way. This is only 2 gate, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, he took so much... I'm like, where is the extra gateway or the Nexus? Oh, he lost 9 probes, didn't he? Third Nexus goes down. No supply blocks, though. I noticed a lot of Protoss are so busy trying to reprobe after losses like that. They kind of mess up. But he's going to go 4 gateways, third gas. We do need to see more probing, and he does resume his probing right after that. So Classic just took a very small break in his probing. Observer's going to go down to the Cyclone. These Stalkers need to recall. If he doesn't have recall energy, he's screwed. He's going to go into tank range in a second. Getting a lot of SCVs. Is it worth it? Oh, moving to tank range is kind of problematic there. I mean, he does get a bit of splash damage. He's going to try and recall now, but only 1 Stalker gets out, and he's losing probes to the Banshee at the same time. ByuN. Just like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because now Classic's going to be paranoid. ByuN is up 2-1. Oh, man. When your opponent does that and just does the same thing twice, it's easy to get in your own head. Like, ByuN just does the same thing, and you're like, what? Because sometimes you get so stuck on this mindset of, like, you can never do anything predictable in StarCraft. That's a bad idea. Classic, I think, really holds to that, where I think Classic does mix up his strategies a lot. Plays, like, quite traditionally on a fundamental strategic level. He'll do like something very aggressive, then something quite greedy, then he'll do something else greedy, but it takes advantage of what would have countered his previous build. So if his opponents are ever playing a bit too obvious, I feel like he ends up 1 step ahead. But yeah, sometimes when you play properly like that in quotation marks and your opponent just does the same thing, it can be a little infuriating because you feel like you shouldn't be losing to that, right? You're like, nah. But that first Adept going down, did it get a Hellion kill? Yes. But if you don't have a battery and you don't build a 4th gateway unit, you're in trouble. Now, you guys might be wondering, like, well, this sucks, right? Terran can just randomly make Reaper Hellion and kill you. This is so stupid, right? And I totally agree, Diamond League Barry. I would make one counterpoint. Classic didn't probe scout in the last game, number 1. So he's way ahead on minerals. Number 2, he only built 3 gateway units, 2 of which are Adepts. Adept is like the bargain bin early game gateway unit. Good for scouting, not that good at fighting. Why didn't he just chrono out a 4th unit? If you do 2 chronos on your gateways, you can get 4 gateway units out before Warp Gate finishes. And people would say, well, why would I need to do that? You didn't scout. You don't know if the opponent's going double gas. You don't know if he's going 2 ranks Reaper, 3 ranks Reaper, 3 Reapers, 2 Hellions like we saw. If you're not going to build a shield battery, you should always make 4 gateway units if you don't scout. If they're playing double gas, or they could be playing double gas, just make 4 gateway units or make 3 gateway units and a shield battery. Classic was being greedy. That's what I'm trying to say here. Because I always like this as like an explanation device, because there are so many comments in StarCraft being like, wow, look how solid Classic was playing and he just died. I'm like, guys, it would have looked really good if ByuN was doing a greedier opening. Anything other than 3 Reaper 2 Hellion, anything that doesn't hit quite that hard, Classic's opening would have put him in an amazing position. You got to realize Hero does the same thing as Classic did in that game all the time. Plays greedy as F and sometimes gets punished for it. And I like when players play a bit greedy with like the no scout at the start, but you should have used that money to build that 4th gateway unit. Getting an extra Stalker a little bit early, it still helps your build later on, because of course it'll become a Blink Stalker for your own pressure. And it's just one of those little things that can make a big difference. 1 Stalker already out, 2nd Stalker on the way. We'll push this back. You can Stalker... What is this? 3 gate? Oh my gosh. It's a 3 gate, guys. Does Stalker first give that away, though? Stalker into 2nd Stalker, chronoing Warp Gate. He's going to build a 3rd gateway up here on the front momentarily. This is off double gas. A lot of players will pull a worker off each gas. I noticed like MaxBax, I think, did this one game when you're doing the 3 gate, because you want them to, if they scout, to see 2 gases at the start, but you don't really need all the gas you bank up with this, because it's a very mineral-focused build. You can see little gaps in probe production here right now, guys. And he starts a 3rd Stalker. So he's going to be 3 Stalkers join up with 3 more units warping in on the front. That's a pretty scary buff, Boston. Oh, and ByuN's playing. So, okay, guys, ByuN is investing right now in psychological damage. He's going reacted Widowmine drop. This is a build where you have literally 0 defense. You have nothing but Widowmines and Medivacs, and the whole idea is you pin the Protoss at home. This is the worst possible opening against what Classic's doing. He sees the second gateway on the front, and it's an early gateway. It doesn't necessarily tell you it's a 3-gate, though. Because sometimes people just do it that way. This tells you you're under attack, though. The Reaper's under attack right now. The Reaper's under attack. There is no Stalker on the front. 4 Widowmines up front. He's trying to build a bunker. He knows he's in trouble. That Widowmine. Oh, the Widowmine fires. He doesn't really want to waste any Widowmine shots on this. 3 Widowmines, though, are hard to take out unless you pull like 3 or 4 probes across here. So even though the Widowmines usually don't offer you very good defense, because he's at least seen what's happening before his Medivac moved out, he could still use them to defend, but he goes across. He's making reacted Cyclones as well. And Classic, dude, he's going to try and make a depth so that he can dodge the Widowmines. But seeing that the Widowmines have lifted up, he's going to realize, oh god, the Widowmines have lifted up. Okay, we can just go for this. He's going to go for it. Oh my gosh, that's a crazy way to shade in. Stalker's going after the Cyclone along with these Adepts. The Adepts going after the repairing SCVs. One Stalker does fall nice around with the SCVs, actually. And dude, I don't know if this is working out at all for Classic. Classic gets inside the main, though. He does get inside the main base. That Cyclone Micro is very good. Reapers and Marines and SCVs are ruining this. Oh no. Guys, Classic, this doesn't really feel... I mean, he's killing a lot of SCVs, but... I feel like that trade was appallingly bad. Yeah, 2-to-1 cost efficiency. 2 Widowmines in the main base. Widowmine drop's just going to chill right here. And he won't really get any kills on this. Just 2 probes. And, oh, the Widowmine drop not being micro does take a few more hits than I thought it would. Classic, I mean, he's on 39 probes. He's got a good economy advantage. Doesn't take much damage there. Can leave a few Stalkers in the main to defend, but... definitely a scary moment of the game gets past for ByuN. He survives. He's got his second barracks going down there. His factory and barracks swap around. Starport will probably be building a Raven momentarily. And you now are transitioning to a Robo and a Robo Bay with no Twilight Council. So Classic's playing an incredibly immobile style. Uh-oh, Stalkers versus Cyclone. Cyclones tend to win this fight. You just got to pull back the weak Cyclone. Blink's not ready, remember. Cyclones will get 2 Stalkers for 1 Cyclone is a great trade. Very good trade there for ByuN. These Cyclones don't really have much use later in the game. Oh, Liberator come in from the right side. Very nice. Remember, no blink, guys. No blink. That Stalker goes in. The weak one goes in first. Oh, no. The Cyclones come forward along with the Reaper. They do a little bit of damage to these Stalkers. Very greedy aggression, but realizing there's no blink, he's like, yeah, I can get away with this, man. Cyclones get in, do some more damage, as does the Liberator, and then he pulls back. Second barracks is up. He's going for a Banshee and a tank. Third barracks will go down. He's going to put this barracks on the tech lab from the starport. And you can see the way he tried to move it past, because if he just clicked it on the tech lab, it would have stayed on the right side. But if you move it to the left, then shift-click on the tech lab, it kind of sits in the correct position for the swap. Oh, Stalker warp in from behind, catches the retreating Cyclones. Cute move there for Classic. Reaper does split off and says, oh, you can be cheeky? I can be cheeky too. But... the probe surround does manage to block him from any worker kills. 45 workers against 43. This still feels like a very bad opening for Classic in many regards, but at least he's got Colossus on the way. He has an observer out. His forward gateway hasn't died yet. He's building a third, and the Twilight Council at 6.5 minutes is finally starting. One has to wonder, can you even afford to go blink at this point, or do you just have to go straight for charge? I think you have to go straight for charge, because it's going to be the 3 Rex push with Stim, combat shields, and all the rest. That's what you got to worry about, and that's not too far away right now. 3 siege tanks into the add-on swap. Factory's going to build itself a reactor. You can see once again he tries to move past the tech lab before shift-clicking on it. Ooh, Cloakless Banshee gets 3 probes and mining time. Hello? Is ByuN just going to try and kill a Stalker, guys? That's a crazy move. He's like, yeah, bro. Oh my lord, that Banshee pilot asserts dominance. 3 probes, a Stalker, and mining time. Dude. Feels like ByuN is outfighting Classic so hard in this series. I really... Classic's macro is good, but I don't know if it's good enough to recover from this, man. He's in a nasty spot. This is kind of like the push in game 1 on Crimson Court. There's not that many Marines or anything. Colossus on there. Yeah, he could maybe force the siege up nice and early. Colossus could get a few big shots on this ramp. Uh-oh, Classic. No, he moves away. He moves away. Okay. Oh, he lets him up the ramp. The Colossus gets a few big shots, and this actually kind of blocks ByuN. Oh, damn. ByuN's army's getting roasted. Stim's not quite ready. Oh, my God. He's losing everything. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. I just had deja vu, guys. I rarely get deja vu when I'm watching a pro gamer play. That's happened to me at least 3 times on this map in TvP, where I think I've got momentum. And I'm like, I'm going to move forward just to get a position on this high ground a little bit earlier before Stim's ready. I move up that ramp. Usually there's a force field behind me, so I can't retreat. For him, it's his tanks were trapping his army. ByuN just lost 3 tanks, all of his Marines and Marauders, right before all of his upgrades kicked in. Now, you can make an argument here. Pushing forward early to scare the Protoss, gain a good siege up position, make it really hard for Protoss to know what's happening, is such a good move that can give you good value. On the other hand, do you need to take that risk? Speaking of risks, ByuN... name a more iconic duo than ByuN picking up his army and flying over the Protoss. Oh my gosh, ByuN is so known for this move in PvT, where he just picks up and flies through the middle of the map with no map vision at all. It's such a crazy move that he gets away with so often. But we did see it lose him some games recently, right? We saw one yesterday where ByuN flew, was it 40 supply? 4 full medevacs straight into an army. That one was a little more understandable. It was on the edge of the map, and he got glimpsed by an observer and intercepted. But still, it's definitely a costly maneuver right now. Oh, ByuN's down 14 workers. The army supply is similar, which means Protoss is getting by this scary point in the game. Classic also is going blink before charge. So Classic feels confident, kind of saying, hey, I think I've got enough value now. I can kind of do it this way. No blink there, which means the drops, of course, do deny the 4th base, keeping things close enough for now. 3rd orbital's coming up. SCVs are still building. Vikings coming out. It's only 2 medevacs, though. These are the only 2 medevacs. And it is going to be 3 tech labs, 2 reactors on these barracks. ByuN is poor. And Classic, he will become rich over the next minute or 2. 2nd Forge. Charge queued up. It starts up now. It's being chrono boosted. Going to 8 gateways. Pylons at the 4th base. I'd like to see a few pylons on this right side of the map, maybe a few zealot spotters as well. The map vision of Classic right now is the one thing that's lacking. Ghosts are being added in for ByuN, and actually I was going to say it looks like he's going all in, but he drops a 4th command center. So we might see a 2nd engineering bay and an armory soon. ByuN might be happy to play a slower game. I thought he was going to try and do some sort of super aggressive play, but if he wants to play a longer game, I think it's really important he builds more medevacs, which he started doing now, because 2 medevacs is not going to help you out in the long term. 2nd Engineering Bay Armory does go down, so he's going to start heading for 2-2. Meanwhile, though, Classic has correctly identified everything in this game. He's going double upgrades, 2-1. He's going Storm and a Stargate. Now, you might be wondering, why a Stargate? Remember the Showtime Gumiho matches from Home Story Cup. Remember, on this map, this base, this base, this base, and these bases up here, they're all exposed to range Liberator harass. So especially this one, these bottom 2 for Classic, if Libs get in the back, you cannot reach them with Stalkers. There's just not a lot of room behind the mineral line to deal with Liberators here. So because of that, you need to get a Stargate to get an early Phoenix or Void Ray out to deal with Lib harass as Lib range kicks in. Now, he can also, with Psystorm coming in, I would imagine we're going to see a Fleet Beacon and a 2nd Stargate and air weapon upgrades. And indeed, there we go. There we go. Classic's going to go for carriers, maybe even a few Tempests. I love Tempests. A couple Tempests are great because they outrange your opponent, force them to attack into things like Storm and Disruptors. Marine Marauder Ghost coming forward right now. Observers there. Zealots roaming the map. Not really finding anything yet. The Viking's up there ready for the Prism, but I love that the Prism's on this side. There is a Viking ready for it and turrets behind there. This is something ByuN and a lot of players have gotten really good against recently. Some of you may remember, I think around 2020, 2021 was my arc of explaining to pro gamers repeatedly, vehemently, and frustratingly hounding them with, I was like, hey guys, you know how you guys always fly into the main and there's 6 missile turrets here? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, you know they never build any turrets behind the natural, and you can come along that side of the map and it's even better. And pros were like, nah. And I was like, what do you mean nah? And they're like, no, it doesn't seem right. And I was like, it's absolutely right. No one ever drops here, and therefore no one's ready for it. Mix it in. Years later, it must have become so commonplace that, and this is not my effect by any means. There's tons of people out there who have smart ideas. I'm just the most obnoxious with how I message pro gamers, and when I see them, I'm like, you know, you should do this thing, right? I'm just obnoxious about it. That's why I'm making fun of it. I'm not trying to take claim for coming up with this idea. I probably just saw Florencio do it 5 times in a row. I was like, hey, yeah, all the turrets are over here, you know. It is funny, though, to see the Terrans start really guarding every side. Because if you guys remember early 2000 Atmospheres map pool, back in around 2020, that was the time when, like, Max and a Warp Prism were responsible for literal genocide for millions of SCVs. Terrans were so bad at dealing with Warp Prisms going in their base, they eventually got good at defending this angle. But these days, I feel like there's an entirely different level which guys like ByuN are the masters of. They will claim map control, put pressure on, Protoss will send Zealots in from 5 different angles, and they'll quickly pull back, clean up all the Zealots, get crazy about value, trade better in the units lost, which he hasn't had a chance to do much this game, and then they'll go back to pushing the front, and then pull back and defend the Zealots. The Vikings will kill Prism after Prism. Guys, what? He just killed a Marauder. Or a few Marines and Marauders. I think it was Marauders, to replace them with Ghosts. He's like, I need a few more Ghosts. 16 Vikings. I love that there's double armory with plus vehicle weapons, plus 2 ship weapons, 2 more command centers. Now, the problem with what Classic's doing is he's giving ByuN time to catch up, right? He's giving ByuN time to build up his army. Now we're finally pushing with, what is this? 5 Carriers, 3 Colossus, 2 Immortals, 6 High Templar, 1 Sentry. There is a Warp Prism in the back left side, but there's plenty of turrets. And there is also a Mama. Now, where's Mama hanging? Is she going to be with the army? She's at home right now. Normally, you want to send Mama in on a bit of an angle. Yeah. Drop comes in. Ain't going to achieve too much. A couple snipes go down, clearing up these Zealots and Adepts. Nice, easy cleanup there for ByuN. Sensor towers and turrets going to give you that advantage. This is why Tempest would be really nice, because you can pick away at this static from far and try to force him to fight into your storms and that sort of stuff. Hard to force fights without just straight up committing. So Classic has to make a decision now. Do I shove? Or do I chill? He's going to make Stalkers. I think he's going to shove. I think he's going to go for the fight. Now, it's all about EMP versus Storm. The High Templar are very clumped right now. This is not good positioning. Oh. Bit preemptive on the Storms there, guys. Classic's got full energy on those High Templar, though he's got plenty more where that came from. Vikings coming forward. Got to watch out for these Ghosts. Dude, these High Templar are so clumped. Classic set up like hero right now. Oh, this is a carrier for free. Not a great trade. 3 more Stalkers warping in, interestingly. I find that really interesting. He's warping in Stalkers mostly, guys. He's going to try and push one more time. Those High Templar are still mighty clumped up right now. EMP, very nicely done for ByuN. Both sides splitting. Feedback's landing. Another EMP does land, but I don't think that one hit too many High Templar. I wouldn't mind ByuN throwing a few SCVs away here. The fight, you have to have the numbers in the fight. He's got to be so careful in this engagement. A few good storms could ruin his army right now. I don't know why I'm imagining Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise shouting at each other. You can't handle the storms. I think ByuN right now, old man Nicholson ByuN, trying to handle these storms. He's got to dodge them, to be fair. He cannot eat these storms. Time warp on top, time warp on top. Watch out, Classic blinking forward. He's got 2 more storms coming in from the back. We need another EMP. Those last 2 High Templar in the back are very scary, but Mama gets focused down by the Vikings. Storm, good storms, but he's out of energy. Those are the last storms. Classic needs to retreat right now. If he fights, it is pretty much a 100% committed issue. Stalkers go in on the Vikings, though. The carriers have launched some interceptors. A few of the carriers have gone down. The Stalkers are shoving forwards. It's a bit of an awkward fight when you don't have any Storm to back this up. Zealots are coming in the front line. There is no Warp Prism here, guys. The Warp Prism does not exist. New Archon has come in. ByuN is not max. Classic is. There's no turrets backing this up. 14 Vikings against 3 carriers is enough. The problem now is the ground army. How do you deal with that ground army? Planetary's going to master repair. He's going to come in from behind. EMPs from behind. The carriers will go down. 1 carrier falls. 2nd carrier falls. Good micro back with the bio as well. ByuN loses his base, but he's going to crush this army, I think. Yeah, looks like he's going to take that army out super decisively. 23 SCVs and a command center going down is big, though. He's back to 4 bases. Is that worth it for Classic? Classic's on 83 work. He's going to send Mass Zealot in the left side, and there's no planetary there, which means he can clear up some turrets, some SCVs. Really good value. These guys could go back in on the right side as well, because ByuN is the one who's a bit more poor. Classic has money to burn right now. Man's throwing his bloody metallic black Amex card at his opponent, going, I'm rich, suck on it, you know? I can literally buy your house. Lol, 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 lol. ByuN right now trying to squat on this 4th base on the right side. Turns out this is not New York State right now. Classic does not care about your stupid squatting rights. Command center on the left side goes down as well. Oh gosh, okay, we are just straight up going medieval on his butt. Classic is just going to roam in and literally burn his furniture and belongings in their house. There's no way ByuN can hang on. Ghost trying to hang on. EMP lands with the High Templars there. The Zealots going to the natural. This is a problem. ByuN just does not have the numbers. He doesn't have the numbers, guys. That first fight was good enough, The planetary snipe, even though the fight army versus army was efficient, Classic could remax, and he's totally fine with that. The storm was massive there. Can you beat this army? Yes, but at what cost? Zealots are ripping up your stuff behind it. Things are in huge trouble, and things are getting kind of awkward right now. Zealots going after the Marines and the Marauders. Depot's going to burn down there as well. That is a double depot. Not that it really matters because there are so many command centers that it probably won't supply block you. Ghost Academy's getting focused down. It is one of the tankier structures, the Ghost Academy. And it does indeed fall. Mama and more carriers are being built. And Classic's economy's been untouched for a very long time in this game. I love that he's got a gateway on the front as well. Hasn't really been using warp prisms on the front, which is kind of interesting. I guess they do waste supply. He's like, dude, I need all my supply for my army. I have 87 workers, dude. Classic's remaxed, he's got to go again. I think just keep trading. The reason is, if you let ByuN remax, you know, he could take the perfect fight. Unless you really feel confident that you're just better at late game micro than ByuN, I feel like now's the time to just push again. While your army's a similar size, keep trading and keep ByuN small. You know, do some more Zealot or DT counterattacks would be nice as well. Speaking of which, DT's so out of favor with a lot of players these days. I do miss them. Scans coming down. There's no observers on this map. You just needed to make sure. And that's a smart move for ByuN. This stage that you got to get rid of your opponent's vision. If they see where you are, they can take advantage. Shields, +3 armor, +2 air armor as well. EMP's landing on the Zealot Stalker. Storm's there. Hello. Ghosts, 15 of them. 21 Marines, 12 Marauders, 7 Vikings. Not really enough to gun down the carriers anymore, guys. 7 Vikings are going to struggle, even with EMP landing. Zealots coming in the left side. This orbital is not a good idea for ByuN. He's got orbitals on both sides. Oh gosh, he's just so poor. He feels like he has to do it, but EMPs are aplenty. Feedback lands. You're going to need more than feedbacks, though. These High Templar are a little clumped. It is definitely very hero-esque with keeping all your High Templar clumped. One thing I think Classic could learn from is Nightmare. Nightmare would already have had a High Templar waiting here for the army rotation, and a High Templar up here in case the army like repositions. Leaving a few of those scattered High Templar, I think, is something that Nightmare is one of the best in the world at right now. Ooh, High Templar goes down. Nice Viking shots on the carriers. More Zealots warping to this left side. They've been taking good trades. I think Classic's so happy to just keep trading on this bio. He's like, let's go, son. Yep, let's go. The Zealots do charge in. Just forcing the SCVs off the line repeatedly. At the same time, he's zoning the army over here with storms. The command center goes down. Great storm. And for Classic, he's out of size storms, which is definitely an issue. This is where that backup High Templar would crush this army. Otherwise, he will get chased down. He's going to have to turn and fight, it looks like, with Stim and Storm wearing this army's hit points down. They can't really stand and fight. Even with most of the interceptors gone, the bio army's weak. They have to stutter step this way, stutter step that way. Zealots are in on the left side. And Classic using that Protoss money machine, that warp gate, that splash damage in an excellent combination to make it near impossible for ByuN to counter everything at once. Even as the carriers start to fall, well, those carriers, at least some of them get saved, I guess. 3 carriers will get out. They can start rebooting interceptors in the back. A few Stalkers are here. Army supply is actually ahead for ByuN, believe it or not. It is 3-3-3 for Protoss, 3-3 for Terran. 3-2 ship weapons about to come in as well, but ByuN's just broke. He knows he can't get through there, and Classic manages to tie up the series 2-2. All right. ByuN now tied up 2-2 with Classic. Classic in the bottom right side of the map. Doesn't want to die to proxies in this final game, so he's checking for it. Just about everywhere, making sure there's no hidden barracks on the map. Site Delta, a map where Terran has been known to pick Protoss apart with multi-prong. And that's always the scary thing. Now, for Classic, I think you're worried about Cyclones, and you're worried about potential third command center openings as well. I personally, this is the sort of game 5 where if I was in his shoes, I would play like hero, not scout, build a blind shield battery, and just hope I get away with it. But turns out he's playing against a 1-Rex expand for now. He's scout so far. Command center will go up on the high ground. Not a bad move for ByuN. And I think seeing no factory this early, you're like, it's probably that. You know, you're not sure, but you're thinking, it's probably most likely. We were just talking about different delicacies, and I found out there is a restaurant near one of the ones I went to last night for dinner with my family that does serve pork rectum, apparently. And someone in my Twitch chat, as I mentioned this, has just said There was an American Life episode where two calamari lovers tried both and couldn't tell them apart. If that's real and you can find a link, let me know. That's insane if so. Anyway, Stargate's on the way. Coming in here. The Adept's going to pop out. The Reaper's going to have to pull back. Yeah, you don't want to get hit by that Adept. Once you take a hit, it becomes much scarier because it's only 3 hits to kill it. Ooh! Careful, mate. Careful. Got to get out of there before that Shade can chase you down. Going to try and intercept on the left, potentially, or maybe just go across the map. Stargate Phoenix first, so it's probably Phoenix Colossus up against, wow, third command center. I've talked about this a lot, guys. ByuN uses this build too often on this map. There will be he forgot to build his third barracks. Guys, ByuN misclicked his third barracks. He's floating 300 minerals. He thinks there's a third barracks building right now. He's rallying multiple SCVs. ByuN, wake up, mate. 2 SCVs idling. Barracks about 20 seconds late. That's going to slow down his potential stim pressure. One of the things with this build is you do like to move around with a big massive Marine Marauder to at least scare the Protoss because your medevacs are so late. You need to do something to exert some presence on the map. A little bit sloppy on the execution there for ByuN, but it is what it is. It's not like the end of the world. It's an uncharacteristic mistake. The reason I sound like I've got so much urgency in my voice is not because that in itself is game ending. It's because it speaks to the psychology of the player. When they make a mistake like that, it's such an odd one. You know, setting your rally point there and then forgetting about it for 30 seconds is very uncharacteristic for ByuN. If you do something like that, it's something that in the moment you're like, yeah, 3 seconds from now I'm going to build that barracks and then change my rally point back. But got distracted by his Reaper or something like that. Reaper's still scouting around, seeing no third base, and at this point you're going to start to maybe put 2 and 2 together, especially does the Phoenix go across? So the Phoenix are hiding. This is bad for Classic. Phoenix in general is bad against this build. This is one of the best build orders against Phoenix. So I think going Phoenix here was not a good choice for Classic, especially with how often ByuN plays this build on this map. So I think bad build choice for Classic just fundamentally. The other thing that I would point out here is not only is it a bad build choice, but he's kept his Phoenix back, which means he's hoping a drop comes in. He gets to kill it for free by hiding the Phoenix to the last second. Downside, he's not going to find out that it's a bad choice. So he doesn't even realize that there's a third command center. He doesn't know what he's up against. If Classic knew what he'd up against, he'd be trying to like rush further forward, potentially into a fast third base. Definitely he had to have more information about how difficult holding the third base may end up being. Because if you lose your third base to the stim pressure with this, you're dead. Terran has a third command center. You're just completely screwed. If you lose your third base, like, oh my gosh, you know, you're going to need such extreme efficiency because there's going to be so much more Terran units on the map than you possibly have. Now, third Nexus goes down at an okay time, 450 in a normal game, but against a 3 command center, he's going to be a little upset. And already he's like, oh man, why haven't you moved out at all? Like, why is there no medevac pressure? What's going on? And, you know, he's thinking about trying to find something. He's like, maybe a Raven's about to fly out, maybe a medevac. He still doesn't want to show the Phoenix. It's like, you got to see what's going on, mate. The Marines are ready for it. 2 SCVs, 3 SCVs. Ain't bad. Does take a little bit of bruising on one of those Phoenix. And he wants the Starport SCV, which makes sense. That's the highest value one because it disrupts the building. Gets a few extra seconds delay there. It's not the end of the world by any means, but ooh, missile turret gets a shot off. Phoenix are all kind of wounded. And of course, he should know what he's up against. Hasn't actually seen the third command center, but I think we can put 2 and 2 together, and Classic does now indeed see it. 4th and 5th barracks are going down as well, of course. Well, Starport going to land on the reactor. Actually, where's the 5th barracks? There we go. Building it just now. Double medevacs on the way. Now, the extended thermal lance is coming in. He's building an observer, which is interesting, guys. 2 observers. Oh, so he's prioritizing vision. I think this is really big because you know that ByuN, if you send the observer over here, he always scans it and kills it. So I think Classic's going to try and kind of hide his observers around the map a little bit more, make it a bit harder to see them, and hope that these first medevacs aren't able to outposition him. He's also hoping to catch a drop sneaking out the left because that's one of ByuN's favorite moves, is just sneaking out immediately with his first 2 medevacs, boosting down the south side. There is a missile turret here, so harassment ain't going to work. Gets himself just 1 SCV, in and out. Not too bad for Classic. Classic's got the 6 gas coming up. Twilight Council is there. Charge and +1 have both started. He's on 4 gateways with more gateways starting to go down. You can see how important this gateway explosion is because he knows there could be a huge bio push. So the moment he gets 150 minerals, puts down a gateway, then another gateway, then another gateway. All 4 gateways go down just about as early as he possibly could do it. And Classic, he's on 64 probes against a 60 SCV Terran. ByuN has massive income. He's got 5 barracks up very early in this game. He's going for the Ghost Academy already. +1 weapons is already finishing. He does have a bigger amount of units. Problem, Phoenix goes down. Second Phoenix goes down. This is not good. You do not have Blink in this game. Losing 2 Phoenix is not a good spot to be in. Gonna grab an SCV. Oh, he's gonna lose another Phoenix here. Oh, classic. He's getting too antsy with these Phoenix guys. 3 Phoenix can't even kill a Marauder with a single lift. It'll literally drop in the red hit points. You need 4 Phoenix to kill Marauders, right? Oh, apparently Big doesn't know his numbers. Never mind, guys. I don't think that was stimmed or anything. I thought it was 4. Guess it's 4 for a Roach. I guess a Marauder has 20 less hit points than a Roach, so kind of think of them as being the same tankiness, but technically a Marauder is a little more fragile. 4 Medevac's going to pick up after killing the Observer. Second Observer. Oh, he barely glimpses it, but only for a second. I'm not sure if he noticed that. Phoenix are nearby. The Medevac's going to go around the right side. Pylon is there. ByuN scans the front. He sees the Colossus, the Archons, the Zealots coming in. Charge is now done. Drop going down the right side. Phoenix are not in position. It's only 3 Phoenix anyway. It's nowhere near enough to stop this. And good pullback on the probes. Not too bad, actually. Phoenix doing a bit of damage there. He's going to damage the Medevacs. Oh, he goes for it. He manages to almost... Yeah, he gets one with a few units inside, but the Phoenix are now dead. Blink's only just started. Zealot, Colossus, Archon trying to hunt this down. Phoenix here ready to get some damage on the Medevacs as they pick up and leave. If you had 5 Phoenix, you can imagine how brutal this could be. With only 2 Phoenix, it's just not the same. 4th Nexus goes down for Classic. We got a game on our hands. Tanks are building... Tanks? Well, guys, why is he building tanks? Wow, ByuN? Is this TY or ByuN? ByuN's been playing mech lately. He's building tanks in like late mid-game TvP. This is bizarre. Now the tanks, don't get me wrong, they're not a bad unit. They're just very immobile. They don't mix well with ByuN's multi-prong kind of diving style. They're good for outranging Colossus, outranging Disruptors. Very bad against Zealot Archon. But if you have enough Bio Ghost to clear the Zealot Archon, the tanks, it's a nice artillery piece that you can start building very early in the game. Problem is, if you ever lose that army, they'll just get overrun very quickly by Zealots. They don't do that well. And it really makes it hard for the Protoss to kill you. They're very good defensively, but of course, they don't offer you the same aggressive momentum. Now, if these Zealots can kill that SCV and the Command Center, this would be big, but the Bio Army's close enough. They should be able to save this Command Center. Could have probably sacrificed all the Zealots for it, but that's like 1,200 minerals, so... Yeah, keeping the Zealots alive is probably more important. Ooh, the Adepts from the early game getting thrown away. Fleet Beacon and Stormer on the way. Dude, Classic taking control of this game. Felt pretty dicey for Classic earlier on, but I really like his position now. The Zealots keep darting in and out. The Adepts up on the north as well. 2nd and 3rd Stargater coming now. ByuN's not behind like he was on Oceanborn, and that game was still reasonably competitive. Ooh, okay, Adepts do go down as well. Nexus is there as well. 4th base. Where do we take the 5th? Do you think he just takes the front? That might be the play. Storms come in. How many High Templar? We got 3 High Templar. I think the one thing I would definitely point out from Oceanborn, we already mentioned it, but let's mention it again. Spread your High Templar out. I think that's Classic's big mistake. If there was one on Oceanborn, he never had backup High Templar. He was always keeping his High Templar in a clump like this and then just spreading them reactively when he's looking. Works fine when you're in charge, when you're winning the game, like he was. The moment you're not winning and you're not looking for a second, and 2 EMPs land and all your High Templar lose all their energy, it's a disaster. Which is why just a couple of those 2 supply High Templar, 1 here, maybe 1 down here as well at this point. But then later on, if you're pushing this angle, leave 1 off to the left. Leave 1 off to the right. Giant rumbling noise outside. I don't know what that was. It's sunny outside. I can see sun coming through the window. That was weird. That was definitely not thunder, I don't think. Kind of sounded like thunder, but I don't think there could be thunder outside right now. Who knows? Maybe a little sunstorm. A little bit of a sunstorm. Praise the sun. Green Marauder stimming around the top side. He's hunting for these Zealots, guys. He wants a good trade on these Zealots. Get out of there. Classic, get out of there. ByuN's going to find some value. We don't have Warp Prism speed yet. I think it's generally worth getting Warp Prism speed the longer the game goes, but as you can see, with double Forge coming in, 2nd Cybercore for double air upgrades, Classic's got his money occupied. Whoa! My computer just absolutely froze for a second there. I'm sure you guys saw that as well. That was weird. I was like, is this an internet issue, a power issue? Is this to do with the giant rumbling noises outside? I don't know, man. Oh, reactive eBay block. He doesn't even need the eBay. He did that because he saw the Zealots coming in just to buy some time. And then the snipes take them all out. That's a slick move. Rebuilds the depot there to get that wall off back up. ByuN. Dude, ByuN's look good. And look at this. The reason he's building tanks is just to not die. Remember what I said? Tanks aren't really good aggressively. They're more for just like not dying. And you can do pushes with them, but if you ever get overrun, they don't look great. He's setting up tanks defensively. He's chilling right now. building mass command center. He's got 5 command centers building ship weapons and armor. He's going double armory upgrades. ByuN feels confident in the late game versus Classic. I think stats beats ByuN late game most often with Carrier Storm. Does Classic have the chumps? Does he have the chops? I guess I should say the chumps. The chops is what I was trying to... Does he have the late game chops? Does he have the micro to take down ByuN is what I'm trying to say. The Viking Bio Ghost coming north. Scan goes down. He's looking for observers. Classic's observers just out of position. I think definitely replacing observers constantly is super worth it. Right now, we do have an observer there and also one near the army, but not quite with it. There we go. He's bringing it with the army now. 5th base in the bottom left corner is interesting. 2 High Templar and a Mama there. You can recall to the Nexus, but you can also use the recall offensively with Mama. I like this move. He's going to attack the northern base, and then he's going to recall on the southern base. This is a cute move. It might be a little early with the mothership in the south, though. This might be a little... Oh, this is going to turn out very interesting. Because, look, the Ghosts, if they can get the feedbacks... I mean, ByuN doesn't know about this base. He's about to find out about it with the Medivacs looking over the grass. Oh, no storms. Ow, 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 ow. And no EMP either, guys. That Nexus is toast. Probes do quickly run. Nice move there. Oh, he just got most of his High Templar EMP'd. He's got 1 full energy High Templar. That's it. Remember what I was talking about. If you're not looking and you get EMP'd, the technique Classic uses is prone to getting extremely punished by mistakes. He has 1 Psystorm left in this army. And that planetary ain't going down, guys. That planetary ain't going down. This is a bad fight for Classic. Bad fight for Classic. Fighting into a planetary. The planetary is just tanking like crazy. Dude, he's not got the numbers to kill it. He's just lost every intercept. Get out of there now. Oh my gosh, he's losing his bottom base as well. 22 probes already went down. This Bio must have caught the probes on the retreat. He's going to recall offensively. He has no damage. Guys, he has no damage in this army. I don't think he can kill this planetary. He's got like a few Immortals in there. Maybe the Immortals will get through. Okay, there was a few more ground units in there than I accounted for. He then recalls home. I mean, this is, in theory, an amazing move. If he hadn't just lost 2 Nexi, at least he can defend this base. Kills one of his own probes there by the looks of it. But 25 probes, 2 Nexi going down. He kills 1 command center that immediately gets replaced by a different command center. The units lost tab. Sorry, guys. I know Protoss don't have orifices, but a little bit of an internal vomit there for the Protoss, looking at that unit's lost tab. It's a bad series of fights. He didn't have any spotters here. That army came in at the perfect time, got rid of the 2 High Templars, whereas otherwise a couple storms and cannons probably could have, you know, distracted ByuN enough that he might have backed away from the bottom. And then we maybe could have gone in, but the carriers just weren't doing much. It's +1 carriers against a 3 armor building. They just don't do enough damage there. And once a Neo Steel Frame comes in, and High-Sec Auto Tracking, which are both being upgraded the moment 3-3 kicks in, they're already queued up. I don't see planetaries going down to carriers. You need Immortals. Even Zealot Stalkers can add good damage there. New base going up in the north. Classic's got enough bank to remax. He's got pretty good upgrades, but I would say things like Plasma Shields and stuff, they're nice utility upgrades to the long game. Not as important as having those Nexi alive right now. Having some extra upgrades is good if you've got a big economy. You think the game's going to go much longer, but right now he's in a fragile state. Zealot kills a landed Viking. Lovely Storm. Those Vikings just got touched up, guys. Oh, very nice. Another Storm there as well. Dude, he's been good on his Storm micro. The EMPs of ByuN may be lacking slightly. ByuN's just going to back away and repair all of his Vikings. I think that's the right call. You've got Mass Command Center. You've got a new planetary on the bottom, a new planetary, or actually that same planetary on the top, sorry, with 10 kills. He's going to build more command centers, more sensor towers. And of course, it's Classic with just 65 workers who is now hard-pressed to find places to mine. Needs to put back on this gas and transfer to that northern base that he's just taken. Pushing in with an army supply advantage. 13 Stalkers, 8 High Templar, 9 Carriers, a Mothership, 2 Colossus, 2 Archons, 1 Immortal, and 3 Zealots. Big Storms! Not again! ByuN, you need to learn better EMPs, but every single High Templar has to turn into an Archon as the EMPs do land. So 1 big round of Storms lands, but there's no backup High Templar. I say that, actually, no, 2 High Templar came from the south this time, guys. The backup High Templar do pay dividends. They force ByuN back. He's got massive Vikings, though. He's going to try and hunt down Mama. Get out of here! Get out of here! Mama's looking exposed! Oh, Carrier goes down. Nice snipe on the Carrier. A couple of Interceptors picked off from afar as well without risking getting hit by the Stalkers. +3 air weapons is now started, as is +2 air armor for Classic. Continuing the upgrades, does need to transfer workers around. Hasn't really managed. Classic's economy management is not there, guys. This base has just been chill. He's got kind of an all-in mindset right now, and I'm going to kill you mindset. Remember, 3-3 bios there. 2-1 on the ship weapons for Protoss and Terran. equal, but +2 vehicle weapon's about to kick in. So actually, he's repaired most of the Vikings, and they've got better upgrades now as +2 vehicle plating kicks in. Another carrier goes down. Storm's good. Storm is very good, but another carrier is already almost dead. So yes, the Vikings are damaged, but they've already killed 2 of the carriers. There's only like 5-6 left right now. This is a very good start to the fights here for ByuN. 7 carriers are left in the skies. More Stalkers warping in at home. Those guys rallying across the map. A few probes on this northern base. This base is still a bit oversaturated. Main base is out. This base here. There's only 4 High Templar. They're clumped. They are clumped. 1 EMP lands on those, and I feel like ByuN can force the fight. I do not like this clumping the High Templar technique with no one in reserve. It's dangerous. The Stalkers, though, do chase that Ghost away at the very least. Mama's going to split off. He's going to try and do some nice positioning. I do like the Mama recall. You know, snipe the command center in the top right, maybe. Recall down here, snipe this one. But you want to do that without losing all your interceptors right before the recall like the last one. There we go. Okay, we're going to recall on this base. Nice surprise reposition. Storms to kill the repairing SCVs. That should die very quickly, one would think, and indeed it does. Storms on the Viking lib as well, because the Ghost can't get her in time. Oh, good Storms, but I think you want to pull back as classic. Pull back, cover your retreat with Storms. He's going to try and recall by the looks of it, the way he's clumping up. He's out of Storms. Guys, he doesn't have any Storms right now. Oh, this is a very close fight here. ByuN down in army supply. I think Classic got a good start to the fight, but you got to be careful. Once your splash damage is gone, carriers are gone. Sorry, the Colossus are gone. The libs are gone, though. I think Classic might have this. Dude, he actually traded so well there. Remember, he was so far behind in those earlier fights. Now he's only behind 5,000 resources. And he's made the work account much more similar. This top right base for ByuN, dropping Mass Mule. He's got so many orbitals. How many? 7 orbitals, guys, but Classic's going to find it. If Classic can get up there and deny that base, I wouldn't even mind him recalling to this top right base right now. I think, you know, attack here, you see his armies here, pull back to this point, and then recall. He's blinking forward. EMP plus tank fire is something that's very scary. Recall, or he's just going to warp into the top right. Planetary is not ready. It's actually an orbital it's making. Carrier goes down. Nice Viking snipe. Stalkers come forward, though. A second carrier goes down. 2 carriers, but most of the Vikings are cleansed by the Psy Storm as well as the Stalkers. The Zealots finish all those mules. They only get to use about half of their value. Command Center's going down. Dude, Classic. He's large and in charge here. He's doing really well. I kept thinking this high-risk, high-reward Storm micro was not going to work out for him, but he's making it work. His micro's been exceptional. He's destroying this base. He killed the top right, didn't even lift. Zealots are going to attack from up there as well, and he is actually able to overwhelm. It is not just Stats who's very good at carriers, guys. Stats and Classic, both. The Korean Protosses have revolutionized carrier usage in this matchup, something which MaxMax very rarely uses. MaxMax is a mid-game master. He's a gateway plus disruptor pushing master, a Colossus timing pushing master. He's a map control multitasking master, but it's Classic and Stats who are really showing a high knowledge of an older style of Protoss that uses many different pieces of splash damage and looks fantastic. Now, it's not game over. ByuN could fight back, right? Because he's still got those 7 orbitals. He's still got an insane amount of mules dropping down, keeping his income up. He's got his, 1 factory, 3 starports, 8 barracks. Great upgrades. He's got 3-3 in the air, which, to be fair, only +3 armor's missing for Classic, so pretty close upgrades. Basically, everyone's almost fully upgraded. Mama's rebuilding. Classic's got more supply, but remember, he wasn't on a giant income this whole time. His top right base only now coming up. Classic doesn't have thousands of resources to draw on. He doesn't have 23 gateways. It's just 14 gateways to warp in the reinforce. Here we go, though. Oh, my gosh, ByuN not watching. Classic a little slow on the first storms, but they still land, and the ghosts all just get absolutely wrecked. ByuN stumbles into Classic's army on a high ground for the second time in this series. Shades of Oceanborn when he walked up the ramp into the Colossus Stalker. This is much later in the game, but having all of his ghosts out front of his army, and he's got a mostly marine force here, which is, of course, appallingly bad when there's any splash damage on the map. Psy Storms, not to mention Archons, Guardian Shields. The Marines, not a bad unit, but you need every EMP to land to make this unit do anything. Beautiful movements by Classic, and as he moves into the production, he says, you have to do something about this. Irish High Templar are a little clumped, absolutely, but he dodges the EMP on the ramp. He's still zoning out the units on the low ground. Without an EMP landing, this is just an issue, and you can see the army, he wants to come in from behind, but his units are dying as they spawn. The ghosts aren't getting any EMPs off. The Prism moving up into that main base. This Zealot Archon's trying to move back. Okay, Storm's coming down on some of these tanks. Tanks do siege up. Another Storm goes down. Another Storm of the Marines could ruin ByuN, and indeed, it looks like they do just that. More High Templar unloading, the Storm's on the ramp, and ByuN has to tap out. Classic playing some fantastic late-game Sky Toss transitions. GG, well played.